Hey folks, just to give you some background on what I did, I went on went on a data.gov, which is a website that has a plethora of just free data, right? It's all public data and it covers all aspects of every industry, every government agency, any public private sector environment, what have you, you can think of, it has data related to that, right? So what I did was I just went on there. I was looking for something simple and something fun, and this is what I found. So this is essentially a data set that shows how the city of New York and all of its government agencies use social media. Okay, so once I downloaded it, this is what I found. So this data set is, like I said, it's very simple. It lists all of the agencies that are in New York City. The government, Department of Education, and what is FDNY? Um, Let me look it up real quick. Oh, fire department, yes, fire department and Department of Transportation and what have you, right? So it has all of these agencies and all the platforms that they use. So whether it's newsletters, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, SMS, Flickr, what have you, it lists all of that. And then it also shows, so there are dates also that they sampled, but it also shows you the number of likes or the number of followers, visits, downloads. So all of that is collated in one column. So they don't have separate columns for likes, followers, and stuff like that. So just generally, this shows how popular the response was that they got, right? So this is what the data looks like really, and I used this data with Power BI to just create some charts, and each chart does tell a different story, but also they all interact together as well. So in order to get some insights into how each agency is using all these platforms, and which ones are used more prominently than the others, and how extensively they are used, how popular they are, and things like that, just to understand, just to get a glimpse of what really happens there. I created some charts in Power BI. Okay, so I'm going to switch back. I'm going to switch to the charts that I have in Power BI right here. Okay, so what you'll see here is it's three charts. Okay, again, very self-explanatory. The first chart that you're looking at on the top, this one shows you all of the different platforms, right, that are used by all the different agencies. And again, one quick glance tells you that newsletters are the most popular platform for reaching out to the customers. Okay, and followed by Twitter and Facebook and SMS and so many others that are actually not being used, or probably barely, minimally being used, right? So now, if I look at newsletters here, first of all, it's pretty big, right? It's being used quite extensively. But then I want to know which of those agencies listed here are using newsletters. Okay, so all I'll do is I'll just click on this bar on this chart, and then immediately it tells me that the government, the New York City government office, is using it extensively, right? Uses newsletters quite a bit, followed by the Department of Education and Department of Transportation. Okay, out of all these many agencies listed, only three, it seems like, are using newsletters quite regularly or quite extensively. Um, Now, if I want to see, which of these agencies are using the other platforms. So for example, if I want to see who's using Twitter, right? So okay, all right, looks like the ones that are not using newsletters are actually using Twitter quite a bit. Similarly, Facebook, right? There are some overlaps here, Facebook, Twitter, etc. But it seems like there are a few that use newsletters quite a bit. Okay, so these big chunks here show us that, like the New York City government and DOE, DOT, these use newsletters quite a bit. But others are actually relying much more on Twitter and Facebook. Now, this chart right here, it also shows me how what kind of response they got over a period of time. So these are all the months listed, and for each platform it shows me that these are the number of likes or number of followers or number of downloads or visits, what have you. That's what they got, okay, for each of these platforms. Now, I don't necessarily have to go by the platform. If I want to just see what New York City, the government is doing, right, with all of its platforms, so I can just click on this slice of the pie right here, and it shows me that a lot of it is newsletters and a little bit of Facebook, apparently a little bit of Foursquare also. Okay. Uh, Similarly, let's look at DOE. All right, same story. A lot of it is newsletters, a little bit of Twitter, a little bit of Facebook, and also LinkedIn. Okay, so and if I want to see who else uses LinkedIn, apparently no one else. Okay, so it's only the DOE. Maybe they use LinkedIn for posting job openings or whatever. But what's really happening here is it's giving me food for thought, right? So what's really happening with all these platforms? Why is it that only some agencies use newsletters and others don't, and things like that, right? So if let's see Flickr, for example. Who's really using Flickr? And that little sliver is so thin that it probably won't even let me click. Oh, here it did. So, all right, okay. So it turns out that it's only this agency. I don't know what DEP is. Let me look it up on my other computer here. Oh, environmental protection. So looks like they used Flickr for just a couple of months. So maybe they had an event, and for that event they took lots of pictures and they posted them on Flickr, and then maybe they thought that okay, they're going to use it more extensively in the future, but they didn't. But what's really happening is it's giving me all of these sorts of insights right here, right? So this is one angle that we are looking at. Just the number of platforms that they have, which ones are more popular than the others, which agencies use which platform, and how effective they are in terms of responses or likes and things like that. We can also look at a different angle here. Okay, so what I'm doing here is here. Let me just undo this real quick. Okay, so here we have a different perspective from the same data, but we have a different perspective here. So what I'm looking at here, for example, is all of the responses that we got, right? It's very similar to the one that we have here, but it's by platform instead of by month. So if I want to see how each agency did in terms of the newsletter, so we see that for example, New York City government used or got these many responses in each of the months that are listed. Okay, similarly for DOE and Department of Transportation and OEM. So again, it seems like OEM used it only in these months, right? So the rest of the months, January, February, March, April, May, and then December, that's missing. And also here, so let's go to something else. So Facebook, how effective was Facebook for each of these? So again, it's giving me numbers for each of these agencies just for Facebook. What's also interesting is that if I want to see what all social media channels these agencies have, okay, I can do that by just selecting an agency right here. So for example, if I want to see DOE, right? So if I just select DOE, so first of all, these charts, they update themselves and they show me just DOE's data. But also, what's happening here is that it is showing me all of the social media channels that DOE has. So twitter.com/LMNY and I Teach NYC, NYC Schools. So all of these are actually being run by DOE. Okay. Similarly, if you want to look at Department of Transportation, so it looks like they have Foursquare, they also have Tumblr, right? And then but also Twitter and the few Facebook pages, Flickr, and others. Okay. So I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse into what Power BI can do. So the basic idea here is that we have a set of data, right? But then instead of just fumbling around with this data, trying to create charts and whatnot here, creating static charts where each chart just tells you one story. You can have these interactive charts where not only is each chart telling you a different story, but also it tells you how one thing affects the other. Okay. So, this was just a quick example, and I will hopefully have more in the future. I hope this was helpful in some way, and if you have any feedback, please let me know. Whether positive or negative, doesn't matter. But hope you found this enlightening, so to speak. Right? Thanks. Bye bye.